My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and we did say earlier this week we might have a bit of a blessing for you. It's blessing!
Woo!
Hi guys.
Hello, welcome to the pod.
It's an
Thank you
absolute
for
delight.
having me.
Absolute delight to get you on. I mean, obviously, we'd rather it was a bit later, but
Maybe week 8, 9,
Maybe
last week.
finale.
maybe
Yeah.
finale. Maybe while there's a cake plate being held. I mean, who doesn't like holding a cake plate? We're all here for a cake plate.
How you doing? How you been? What you been up
I've
to?
been good. I've been great. I've been working. I've been at home. I've been baking a lot. But yeah.
Fantastic.
So obviously, it's an interesting experience to get to watch yourself on television. How's that been?
It's been really weird. I feel like the week before everything actually aired, I was just so anxious. I'm like, oh my God, my face, my voice is gross. So I was just so scared. I'm like, ew, I have to listen to myself. So even the first episode, I was watching my family, and the entire time I just had my face in my hand, ew, 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 ew. But it's pretty cool. I feel like I'm getting used to it.
Nice. And was your mum and dad all proud, oh, that's our baby girl, look at her baking away?
Yeah, my mum had her blanket and a cup of tea just sipping on it. She's like, oh, that's you. Oh, it's you. Oh, it's you again. And I'm like, oh, mum.
That's you. I know. I was there.
On that point though, what evolutionary thing in our heads did we develop to hate the sound of our own voice and seeing ourselves on TV? It's not a caveman instinct.
I don't know. It's just because I feel like when you're speaking, you don't hear yourself. Obviously you hear yourself, but you don't really hear things in a weird way. You're I think maybe I need to rearrange how I speak.
Oh yeah, it's as someone who does listen back to their own podcast the day after it's done, it never sounds the way it sounds in my head. From our perspective,
Blessing, you've got great pronunciation, a beautiful timbre. You're lovely to look at. You're young. That's a bonus. Trust me. I just wish I could go back to my 19-year-old self and go take all the photos. Just preserve the moment.
I mean, and that's the plus side is
all in.
Yeah, and the plus side is you've got that preserved now, but in video format. So, in terms of going into Bakeoff, what was it that inspired the idea of this is the year to go into Bakeoff? This is the year to do it.
To be quite honest with you, I wasn't obviously I love food and making food and watching food. I remember as a kid, I would just sit there SBS food would come up, free to air TV. I would just sit there watching SBS food all the time. So Bake Off was something I had in my head, but never anything that I was I'm gonna go on TV and I'm gonna be on Bake Off. So what my auntie actually did was she filled out an application for me. And then she got to a point where she was I don't actually know what you like or what you do, so you're gonna have to finish this application off. And I was oh yeah.
What are the odds? I mean,
okay.
Look, you said you watched a lot of SBS food. I mean, the biggest problem there is that Cutthroat Kitchen doesn't take applications from Australia.
Yeah, they don't.
And
again, 6-year-old me was scared.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I know that the dream is always to stand in a kitchen while having to wear a witch's hat on your head and cut things with a beater, but Bake Off's a good substitute.
It's a good start. I feel it's baby steps.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, Alton Brown is
if I started with anything else, I would have just
Again, the aim is Alton Brown and Cutthroat Kitchen. It always is.
Is it Alton Brown or is it what's that guy name? Action Bronson, and his crew just going out.
This is
happy all the time, drinking organic wine and just
very happy. I'm a Cutthroat Kitchen person, you know this. So, was there a week going in that you were okay, this is the thing that I'm most prepared to cook. This is the thing I'm ready to bake.
100% cake, cupcakes. That's the only. So week one was the only thing I was prepared for. Yeah.
Look, to be fair, if you have to pick a week that you're like, this is what I'm ready for, one's the one to do it for, because after that, it's all gravy after that.
It's a whole lot of wow after week one. But 100% cake, cupcakes, I was like, yeah, if dessert week, which I didn't get up to, I was hella excited for that. I was like, yeah, I'm about to make a dessert box. And then I was like, ooh, I can make that at home.
I don't have to share this, you know.
Are you now like, getting demands from like your clientele? Because you're a support worker. So I could just imagine, you know, like you'd have a few handy foodie people that were, you know, well, let's make cupcakes today. Like we made them yesterday.
See, what we were doing before, I think, because before I would like randomly just like bring like cookies or like cupcakes and be like, hey guys, I made you guys cookies. And they'll be, okay, can you bring some next week as well? I'm like, yeah, I'll bring some next week. But they've actually been watching the show together. So they all huddle up in somebody's room and they just sit there like, it's a blessing. And I'm like, oh, nice.
I mean,
So I actually watched it with them yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's amazing. Get that instant feedback. Like lucky it was a good week, you know, like
but they finish, you know, you're going home and they're looking at you and they're going, no, no, you're not allowed to leave. So obviously, like they're watching along with you, and like as you said, and I can imagine they were like, no, dry the veg.
Honestly, the thing is, like with all my clients, it's like all of them are so different separately, but together they probably don't work. So one was like, it's okay, blessing, you can do this, blessing, you've got this, blessing. And then there's another one on the other side talking about, nah, she doesn't have time. Just bluntly. Just so bluntly. And I was sitting there and I was like, I don't know who to listen to or who to respond to right now, but okay.
Everybody needs that one person in the corner to tell it like it is, going, nah.
Just straight up.
It's like everyone is like, no, you're amazing. And then the realist in the corner going, she might be, but this challenge isn't going to work.
It's almost like, you know, you're one of those Roman emperors with the slave behind you reminding you that you're going to die, like just keeping you humble. You might be on TV, but you're still going to die, darling.
We all must leave the shed. So in terms of that episode, you did mention as well, though, that you said your father baked bread.
Yeah. He loves bread a lot. Like I think like especially during the pandemic, like I feel like everybody just was automatically, yeah, I'm a bread baker now. So he joined the trend, and like every single morning he'll come back from work and just, okay, I'm making bread. Oh, I bought this flour, it has grains in it. I'm gonna make bread. I'm gonna make brioche. I'm gonna make this. I'm like, okay. Like he got to a point where he doesn't need a recipe now to make bread. He just chucks some shit in a bowl and it's like,
that's the point you want to get to.
Has he started his own sourdough starter? Is he that far along?
He isn't that far along. I low-key want to introduce him to it just so I can watch some yeast grow.
That could be fun.
So is your aunt now doing his application for next year? Like, is that
honestly, I might bring it up with her tomorrow. Be like, hey, nudge think you might want to send in the other one as well.
Yeah, you know, you made me do it. I mean, he's over here. Look at the bread. Look at the bread.
Family dynasty.
We've got a family vendetta to clean up. Come in and he needs to avenge me.
Get to bread week and go, I will conquer this week. It is mine.
I will do it for my daughter.
It is our family birthright. Yeah. That could be a lot of fun.
And then do you have younger brothers and sisters? You can start, you know, like gearing up to take on like the next the season after.
Definitely.
A dojo.
If they do like a Bakeoff Kids, I'm sending my little brother straight away and be like, you off to Bakeoff.
Oh, there's a dojo coming. I can feel it. There is a training montage. Training montage in the future. They're going
wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things that sort of endeared you very early on was, and you were talking about, obviously Cake Week was what you were there for, and Cake Week was a focal point. You went bold in the first episode, and largely against everybody's better judgment insofar as chili. Discuss. Were you prepared for everyone going, you gave Maggie beer chili?
I wasn't prepared. I don't know. Maybe something got lost in translation. I love Maggie. Let me begin by saying that I love Maggie, but I didn't entirely know she didn't like chili.
You could see you working it out as they were like, oh, you're like, it's only a hint. It's a light flavor.
It was funny because I only realized I think a few days before, and I was like, oh no, Maggie doesn't like chili. And I was like, oh, shame.
Oh.
I'm still gonna put it in though. Sorry.
But that's the right move. I mean, as we've said before, Maggie, on one hand, Maggie is very clear about things she doesn't like, but she'll eat them. And that's the thing about Maggie.
Yeah.
She'll do it. I mean, look, she ate bubblegum in a previous series.
Sure, she's slowly building up a tolerance to chili.
No, she's not. You've seen this through this series. She's definitely not.
Glacial pace, tolerance. By her 7th generation incarnation, she'll be able to stand, I don't know, a jalapeno.
No, it was it was the cayenne last week. It was a little bit of cayenne there, a little bit of a hit. It's like, oh, it's only a slight one, and you just sort of go, woo!
She's breathing fire on the other side.
As Maggie slowly explodes in front of you. But I really liked the concept for that showstopper in week 1 was a really cool concept. And I love the fact that Matt was so on board with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the fact that you talk about the idea of Matt,
I honestly wasn't expecting him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, I'll fill in the blanks. I'll tell you what's going on. The world's warming. We're not doing as much as we could be. It's all for you. That's what you're saying, right? And you're just like, yes.
Yep.
That's it. Well done, Matt. Thank you for picking that up.
I'm here for more political protesting bakes. Got any plans to, head down to Canberra, maybe, demonstrate for the NDIS with a big, I don't know, chandelier cookie array? You got that up your sleeve now, so...
Definitely. I'll just be out there with a massive chandelier held by the parliamentary triangle with everything wrong with NDIS. But we didn't have time to get into that today.
Look, you can get Jaywin's, Canberra bake, put it together with your NDIS cookie chandelier. I think that's perfect. That's the ultimate in protest right there.
No one can complain about that kind of protest because it's delicious. It can be eaten by all sides of politics.
It can be.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Everyone get on board.
Maybe it'll make them agree.
Exactly. Everyone can get on board and go, this NDIS cookie is delicious. We need more of them. Let's fund it.
Baking for bipartisanship.
Oh, you've done it. You've done it. That's it. Now, another important question that was asked last night a few times is, who's your favorite person in the tent?
Who's your best friend?
So who was it that you were sort of really, really, really close to? And remember that there's someone in Tasmania probably listening who'll be heartbroken if you don't say him.
He has nothing to worry about because it's obviously Norman.
It was heartwarming to watch everybody, especially yesterday's episode was really cool because watching everybody just sort of get into their confidence and their groove a little bit.
Yeah.
And sort of more comfortable inside the shed and with each other.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like that first initial day, even before filming, when we were all together, it was just really weird. And it was just oh, okay, well, you're here. You're also here. I don't know who any of you are. I want my mother right now, but I can't have her. So I just have to be content with what I have. But honestly, by the end of the day, it was just everyone was so close and it was just our own little Gabbo family. So it was just we went from complete strangers to the cutest bunch of grown humans you've ever seen.
I'm just guessing, doing a quick calculation with your age, was Bakeoff essentially your schoolies week because you would have graduated just before or just after the pandemic started? Is that?
I graduated just before. So I graduated end of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, just before.
Yeah, so welcome to adulthood. Here's a plague. it's obviously what we all go through.
There are the different stages of life. There's childhood, there's the teenage years, there's the plague years. We all have to rise through these challenges together,
Yeah. So what's your social life like, or is that why you're baking now?
Because I have no social life. That's my option right now. No, but like it's just I feel like initially after the whole pandemic thing like started, I was just so confused because I'm like, oh, the one thing I was really excited for was uni, just purely because I was like, I can be outside of the house for as long as I possibly can, whenever I can.
And then no.
Yes, Mum, I'm at the library, adjacent bar. That's what uni's all about.
I mean, uni bars. To be fair to you, though, uni bars are overrated.
I don't know.
I've never been to one.
Yeah, they're overrated. Don't they are overrated and overpriced a lot of the time.
For students, anything's overpriced.
That's the point.
That's really like it. Like there's important cultural touchstones, but you're also having like this unique experience of baking in a Bakeoff shed that no one else would have that kind of cultural touchstone of. So, I'm trying to think of it in a positive that, the plague at least brought you to Bakeoff. It just guided your.
When you were looking for a reason to be out of the house as often as possible. No one could really foresee that would be standing in a shed with a bunch of other bakers in front of a temporary oven
with Maggie beer
and Matt Moran and Mel and Claire, and having Mel Buttle demand friendship from you. How hard is it on a scale of 1 to 10? How hard is it to repel Mel's clear demand for friendship?
I would say a 1.
There is no rejection. There is only Mel.
You can't say no to Mel. Yes. She's there. She's very demanding, and she wants your friendship. Okay, Mel. Okay, so
yes, Mel.
So obviously, there were different rules, and nobody got to taste anybody else's bakes because of COVID, and we're sticking very firmly to the line that that's exactly what happened. But say, for example, everybody walked outside the shed and happened to then maybe trade containers,
drop some biscuits on the ground.
Say that happened, because it wouldn't have, because COVID. But if it did, were there any bakes that you were particularly keen to sort of maybe trade for at the end of the day? If you could have, but you couldn't.
So if I could have, I would have definitely had Hoda's pistachio cake because it looks so delicious and also maybe tasted delicious.
Look, Hoda told you. She told you that.
She told me it was delicious.
Mm.
And then everyone else's cakes also look so very delicious. And everyone's cookies also look so very delicious.
That's a good look.
And the bread, so very, very delicious.
I do feel like it would be like this Hansel and Gretel kind of affair where, someone walks out and just happens to leave breadcrumbs in the form of like boxed bakes along the ground, and you just happen to go walking along
with the ribbon.
But one of the handy things I think, and obviously it's a hard moment when you obviously end up having to go home, and we say this all the time, but this week especially, it was very true. It's not a bad thing when you go home on a week that's that good.
Mm.
And like we said on the podcast, that like for me personally, this is one of the best bread weeks I've seen, not just in Australian, but in general. It was an absolutely superb quality of bread week. And there are other bread weeks that have happened where you would have quite easily still been there. It was just a very high quality week. What was that? Especially those focaccia showstoppers. How did you resist like not just running around and like stealing all of them? Because I would have.
Well, I would love to say I resisted.
And for COVID reasons you did. However, let's go with a fantasy world where that didn't happen.
Where you had to elbow Mel out of the way. Just
I put them aside, set booby traps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I definitely resisted. everyone's.
Completely.
And I didn't even get a crumb.
No, not one. Well, I mean, we saw that every time they cut. My favorite moment was in the judging was when they were doing Hayden's. And they were like, when they said the line, this is the way that focaccia should taste. And at that point, they were doing a close up on Mel, who just had like a complete corner. And was just like chowing down to this corner, and they're going, that's the way focaccia should be made. And like she's like, like nodding.
And the other part where they were having caramels focaccia as well, and they just like passed it along to Mel and Claire, and they're like, "Oh, thank you, yes, thank you."
You should have just gone and stood next to Mel and Claire, pretending you're the third host. How did that happen?
Were you surprised that they looked like they'd never heard of a tear and share before?
Like, oh my god, genius!
Yeah, they're like, genius, and everyone's going, Baker's Delight. They do the same thing, and we've never called Baker's Delight genius. So obviously you now. Actually, I do want to ask you a question about your signature. So we brought it up on the podcast, but you went with the vegan bread rolls. Now, my question is:
do you see yeast as sentient beings with a life and rich history?
I battled. I honestly battled with the internet, with the TikTok, with the Instagram, and I was like, what is yeast? I don't know. And then I finally found a plant-based yeast substitute that I could buy from Woolworths. So then I'm there strolling along in Woolworths, and then I couldn't find it. I went to Coles, I went to Woolworths, I went to another Coles and another Woolworths. I called an Uber to a Woolworths. I couldn't find it. So technically,
your intent was vegan.
Look,
my intent.
It's vegan. Yeah. It's vegan leaning. It's vegan leaning.
Sounds like there's a lot of vegan bakers out there, though. There's no vegan yeast on the shelf.
Well, remember, this was like tail end of seven large lockdown. So no, all the vegan bakers were like, our time to shine.
Yeah.
And how were they to know that there was a poor baker from the Bakeoff shed looking for vegan yeast?
Was it a matter
if they had known, they would have left me at least one. Even just 5 grams would have been nice.
Or was it a matter of, much like, when you're at a barbecue and all the actual sausages are gone, the vegetarian sausages are left? Like, was it all the normal yeast had gone and people are just like, vegan yeast it is then, dolls?
Yeah. Looks like we're baking with the vegan stuff today. But I mean, look, that would have helped Jaywin in the showstopper, because he then couldn't have killed it. How can you kill something that's not alive? Sorry, Jaywin, that was right there. No, it was right there. And it was the technical, not the showstopper, but it was right there. How did you find those technical bakes, by the way? Because I'm always interested, because they're the most unusual component for people going into Bakeoff, because everything else you sort of, you're baking something that you'd sort of know or at least look up. How are the technicals when you've not had to do that?
It's stressful, to be quite honest, because it's just like I've had no time to prepare. I have no backstory. Okay, I know for me, I did this thing where I would prepare to give a backstory if something went wrong.
Yep. Good.
I would be like, oh, so this went wrong because no, it didn't go wrong. I intentionally did that wrong because, and give a backstory. But then I didn't get to use any of my backstories.
Can I just say, I what I love about younger bakers is the youth learn. We've been preaching for years that you steer into it. You steer into it. Whenever something goes wrong, it didn't go wrong. That was the intention. That's what I meant to do.
See, you gotta outsmart the smart people. If you give Matt a BS story about something, anything, he might go for it. Actually,
if you're, for example, as we heard the other week, if you're Tom, for example, and you find a shark in a shop window, make up a story that this is all about the Torres Strait and the shark's up there. Not that you found a shark and went, I want to bake something really cool around it. Do that. you've got to have a story and you've got to have a way to sell the story. And I like that idea of, I'm just going to talk my way around any problems that happen to pop up.
Because then even if it doesn't make sense, they're probably going to be so confused that everything that you're saying, they're just going to agree.
Besides, it's your story. How can they refute your life experience?
It's your personal baking gnosis.
Yeah, you're there going, we're just in the middle of a lockdown. Are you gaslighting me? And make them back down. Like, make Matt Moran back down, just to scare him.
Gaslight to gaslight. Okay. So speaking of the youth, so there was a nice comparison made about, you listening to music and Maggie B listening to music.
Yes.
Now, I'd like to know, what are the youth bakers listening to today? Because my reference is like Lizzo, and that's possibly it. Oh, and what's that other girl's name?
You can't remember the other one.
Dua Lipa. I do like her.
You like the Dua Lipa?
I like the Dua Lipa.
The way that you say that makes you sound 90. I like the Dua Lipa and the Lizzo. By the way, just to add to our credentials, just before the pandemic hit, we were second row at the Lizzo concert at the Opera House, just to point that out.
It was, I
That's
made eye
actually so
contact
cool.
with her. And I sent her a care package backstage, and she mentioned it on stage that she got it. So just, feeling good as hell.
That's celebrity status right there.
Yeah,
That's great.
It rubbed off on me.
So how similar / different do you think your and Maggie's playlists are?
See, to be quite honest, I feel like the youths and I are different in terms of music, because I like old school jazz. Like, I like Aretha Franklin. I love Betty Smith. I love like anything before the 90s and some of the stuff in the 90s as well.
Okay, we've got a lot to talk about.
You're getting a standing ovation. Right? You're getting a standing ovation.
Some Billie Holiday, I presume.
Oh my God, I love Billie Holiday.
Oh, that's look, when I was at school, my favorite thing is that our band played Rock Steady, like the Aretha Franklin version, and I was just so happy that we got to do that. So,
because even for my HSC music, I did music for HSC.
Yep.
Yeah.
I sang. What did I sing? Oh my God, I can't remember what I sang. But I sang.
It's a pandemic. It's a lifetime ago.
6 plagues ago, Dal.
You can only talk about it in lockdown form.
Yeah.
Several lockdowns ago.
That's right.
I sang Summertime. That's what I sang. But I sang Summertime. And and then also Killing Me Softly, but I sang the Roberta Flack version.
Roberta Flack version? Yep.
Yeah.
You didn't have somebody sitting behind you going, and then someone going, one time,
2 times.
No, the Roberta Flack version again is beautiful. The only thing I will say about the Roberta Flack version is that I think was it Roberta Flack that my parents went to? I'm sure they went to a Roberta Flack concert once, and they said that. And
that's right. And she only sang Killing Me Softly quite a lot.
Yeah, there were loops.
Yeah.
She did it like 3 or 4 times.
When you're going to a winner, you do it.
Yeah, you keep doing it. But no, I like the fact that you did the Roberta Flack version. That's
nice.
That's credibility.
So you really are an old soul in a young body.
But we could actually have a situation where Maggie's musical taste is far more modern.
That would be so funny.
Maggie might be listening to modern.
Look, all she needs to do is listen to some Cold Chisel, and I think she beats you by a decade. Am I right?
She might be listening to the Migos.
Oh. God, Migos for Maggie now. Okay, Migos for Maggie. We're here now. It's never going to leave. I see. For you, what you want to hear from Maggie Beer at some point is you want to hear that her favorite album is Rhythm Nation.
Yeah, a bit of Janet Jackson.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Bring it on.
You want to hear that Maggie's favorite album is Rhythm Nation, and her favorite song is Black Cat.
Wow, I like that.
No, because I just think that Maggie could do a really good sort of bake to Black Cat.
She could probably take a lot of inspiration from it. Living on the edge, not afraid to die, eating chili. That's what the Black Cat off the tent.
But I like the fact that sort of that sort of older style of music, and it sort of fits a little bit more with baking too. I feel like baking's not really a rap game sort of soundtrack.
Definitely not. Because when you bake, you can like sway from side to side and
It's a bit
listen
more,
to like,
bit more chill, a bit more laid back. It's a bit more relaxed. It's very much not there for like a DMX track.
DMX is doable. I've tried. It's doable.
Yes, you've tried. I like the pause. The DMX still. I've tried. I'm still back at the idea of Maggie be listening to Migos anyway. That image is never leaving my head.
I'm now going to have to look up Migos.
Yes, you are.
Oh my God, I know another one, Little Nas X. I reckon Maggie would totally be into Little Nas. Like, just because he's gorgeous.
Not call me by your name.
Yeah, she'd be like, I want those boots.
Anyway.
Walking through the Verjuice fields in Little Nas X boots, just,
That's weird.
Owning it.
That's really weird. In terms of baking at home, what sort of bakes do you sort of do at home normally? So like when you don't have someone setting you like a very specific challenge that you have to do in 2.5 hours.
I do whatever I feel like on the day, aside from like orders. Like if I get an order, it's usually like specifically what the other person wants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like today I made donuts just because I felt like donuts.
I need a child like you, bless him.
To make donuts?
Yeah, I mean, you can be the dad, Chris, and just, make the bread and I'll just eat everything, like all the good, delicious carbs. That's great. And do you share your bakes, or are they just more for yourself? Like you just kind of bake and pop them in a little secret stash, or is it like, hey, mom, dad, little brother?
I feel like I would get in trouble if I baked for myself.
Just your dad going, I baked bread for you every day during this plague. And what did you do for me? You hid the donuts. You're out of the house, blessing.
Yeah.
But did you learn any life skills while you're out, in the real world, as real as it was during
in the real world of a Bakeoff shed in the middle of a public park?
Yeah, 100%. Because I feel like I've learned people skills.
Yep.
I didn't have people skills before. Because at any given point in time, if I were in a group of people, I would definitely be the one that's just like sitting there really awkwardly, just like, okay, I have to speak. Yeah. I don't want to speak.
I was about to say, you don't get the option of like staying inside your shell when you're around like Nerman and Aaron and everybody else, do you? That's not an option.
You do not. You cannot. But it's like they have that sort of like inviting nature where it's like I need to talk to you. Where it's like I actually have to, otherwise I'm just gonna feel sorry for myself. So it's just like they have like such like a nice. It's just so nice. It's like you can't look at Nerman and just be like, I'm not gonna talk to you. Be like, I wanna go home with you. Just put me in your suitcase. You can leave all your clothes here. I'll buy you more.
I'll buy new ones, promise.
Like, as long as we can fit my moustache wax, we're okay. His moustache grooming kit, we're good. So I guess it would have been easier to develop those skills because you're all bakers, so you've all got something in common to talk about. So even if if you met each other on the street, you might be complete opposite ends of the spectrum of not even that. You know what I mean? Like if you're sitting at a bus stop, you don't just turn to the person next to you and you go, "Ooh, that looks like a really nice fondant that you're creating," but you don't. You don't. You can tell I've got the people skills too, blessing.
I mean, we'll ride with the idea that you're at a bus stop that someone's making fondant at, but
that's a little bit strange.
It's like, why? No, actually, to be fair to Kristie, if I saw someone at a bus stop making fondant,
I would be asking.
I would say something.
I feel like I would just look and just be so confused and just concerned, because then if you're actually making fondant, that's like you've got to have a table and a cooktop and some marshmallows and butter and just
they're prepared.
Powdered sugar, and it's like why here? Why?
I feel like if they're making the fondant at the bus stop, that they probably came prepared. They're probably experienced at this, and I reckon. No, I think they've probably got a backpack that folds out.
Look, I know a few OTs who could probably rig up a really cool wheelchair for someone who's a wheelchair user that has some pretty cool gadgets on it where they could bake like not just make fondant, but fully bake on their wheelchair. The NDIS would not fund it. They'd say this is not reasonable nor necessary.
Not necessary for anybody.
Is this for next season of Bake Off, or it's Bake Off Mobile,
Yeah,
where there's no shed?
It's just on the road.
It's just down the street.
It's Bakeoff wilderness, urban wilderness. You are in a skyscraper having to make profiteroles at the top. Just in the wind and the rain and those.
I mean, it makes getting the ingredients a lot easier because you can just roll into the supermarkets.
Yeah.
You know, I'm missing. I need to make another dough quickly to the flour wheel. That would be. I've got that. Okay, someone needs to tell Mel and Claire so they can pitch that one for next year.
Okay, excellent. Yeah,
because that's we'll write that down. Mel and Claire pitch mobile bake-off.
Yes.
Not something I ever thought I'd ever be saying.
Did you get any like Insta styling tips from Hoda? Because like she's the Insta queen by the looks of things. I mean, I reckon she just wakes up and like the sunlight's in the perfect angle, and she looks like a bloody goddess as she emerges.
Birds chirping and just sunflowers and rainbows. Is just...
Good morning.
Yeah, she opens the door and little bluebirds fly in and start, doing crosswork for her. So was there any like, take your bake angle, or take your photo from this angle for your bake? You really make the curves of the cake stand out. I don't know. I don't photograph things. Chris is looking at me, by the way, blessing. This is not me having a go at you. This is me looking at my husband going, I'm trying to make like a point,
Did you get
I
any
feel
stuff?
Like Hoda is just she's just like really perfect. I don't even know. It's like I feel like even if she told me make sure you take it from a 90-degree angle because the sunlight hits the cake at a perfect 45 acute angle so that the curves, I would do it and it would just look like a flop.
And then she'd like casually walk past and just accidentally bump the button on a phone, and you look at it and you go, that's perfect. That's amazing. How did you do that?
Oh, I don't know.
So what you're saying, Hoda, is that blessing is that Hoda is Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
She's like Maggie Beer, but just 2.0. And
the regeneration is complete. I like that idea too.
And do you have any like goals of where you want to take your baking? So you're taking orders and stuff at the moment. Like, are you getting challenged there, or is it you're like, come on, not just cupcakes, dude? Like, give me a 6-foot chandelier that's going to have a protest message. Oh wait, that was what Kristie did. But what's happening there?
So it's just like the same as usual. What's usual? Because like I was doing like orders and stuff beforehand.
Okay.
So now I feel like I want to do a little bit more like content creation and be a little bit more creative with the things that I make.
Nice.
And just like think outside of the box, because like going into Bake Off and coming out, like the way that I think about bakes is a lot different. Like if you spend like 3-4 weeks with Nerman, who's put squid ink into his bread rolls.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to start thinking outside the box.
I was going to say, is that something that you went in with the idea of, or was that something that just while you're in there, you were like, I'm just going to be a sponge and absorb everything around me?
I was a sponge. I was SpongeBob, but blessing the bob of sponge.
SpongeBob blessing penance.
And we've got an episode title.
Yeah.
But no, it's. I mean, it really is a baking boot camp of sorts, but a fun baking boot camp. It's a baking boot camp with laughter.
Yeah. No tears. I mean, yes, tears.
And it gives you that opportunity to see. And it's the other thing is too that you're not learning one style, because everyone's got such a different, like, you know, Nav's got his sort of, you know, a lot of the Afghani stuff that he's been talking about, and those style of bakes that you sort of see from him. You know, Hoda's got all the Persian background of baking as well. Nerman and Jaywin sort of have that sort of Southeast
Carmel
Asian.
and her bunny influence.
Carmel, of course, has the influence of rabbits, and that cannot be understated.
And her Italian influence as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but the Italian is secondary. I believe that her nationality is bunny first, and Italian second. And I mean, look, I think like her and Lydia would have had that opportunity to form a really strong Italian cartel, but I don't think the bunnies would let her.
No, she's already...
Oh no, they formed it. Carmel was our mafia boss.
No, maybe Coco's in charge of it.
Oh God.
Actually, more likely Coco than Ponchi.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that because you've got all these different styles there, it's so eclectic, and it lets you sort of pick the best of everybody's style.
Yeah. Like it'll be so hard to like not say yes to everyone at all times.
Has there been demands at home for, you know, like for Nav's, like the croissant bake thing, the crescents that he did, is like your dad gone, okay, so you got that recipe, yeah? You're going to whip that up for dinner tomorrow?
You know what I actually did when I came back? So obviously when I came back was my birthday. So I actually got my little brother to attempt is the biggest way here, but I got him to attempt to make Hoda's pistachio cake as my birthday cake, and it was actually really good. He actually did a really good job.
Yay!
Excellent.
There you go. The training begins.
Your next task, child. Biscuits.
I mean, it does feel a little bit like what you were actually doing was playing a long game to make sure you got the best birthday cake possible. You know, you went in with the idea of, I'm going to just taste test a bunch of bakes and come out with a birthday cake.
Because then trying to decide that on my own would have been such a headache. But then if I have all these amazing bakers here, I might as well just...
I mean, it's the equivalency of people going off, you know, when they do that sampling of wedding cakes and they have like 15 million in front of them, and they've got no plan on having any of those wedding cakes, but they just want to have cake for free.
Maybe we should try to get married again, just get free cake.
No, we had the best cake.
Yeah, we did. So it was your birthday the day after. So you got kicked out at 19 and returned home at 20. Oh
yeah.
It's like happy, sad. It's like, yay, I get to celebrate my birthday with my family, but boo, I'm not in the shed anymore. Oh, that must have been a bit of a roller coaster.
It was a little bit like, oh, the thing is, I feel like I kind of knew that I was going home that day. Just an inkling. I kind of knew. So I prepared myself. I had a little cry in the bathroom. I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I won't cry when they say my name. But then Nerman literally broke down.
Nerman was bawling. You had absolutely no, you could see that you were sort of mentally preparing yourself going, I know, I already know. And then you were trying desperately to hold it together, and you just watched Nerman fall in a heap.
I feel like you were doing the consoling of everyone else in that situation when, you know, like really you're the one that's affected, but they're the ones that are devastated.
I
felt bad for you. I felt terrible for Nerman.
Even the photo, like they took a photo of like a moment where like he was literally like, he was giving me a cuddle and he was like bawling, and I had like a single tear down my face. I'm like, it's okay. But like, it's so cute though. The photo is so cute. But I said it before, I was like, I'm not gonna cry. But then I was like, oh, Nerman's crying. No, I have to cry.
And I felt really bad too, because Matt was then given the task of the awkward transition to, and what about Hayden? So everyone's upset. Like everyone's clearly sad to see you go. And then Matt's got to do but on the other hand, Hayden. And everyone's like crying, but applauding and going, yay, Hayden, going, so pleasing, going, yay. It was just this mixture moment.
Speaking of Hayden, so you're a singer, he's a singer. There was obviously Jaywin coming up with, you know, lyrics in the shed. Was there more singing going on than shown on the telly, or?
100%. Obviously, they couldn't show because they do not own the rights and money.
No rights fees.
But there was at one point, I don't remember why, but we started singing Frozen. The song between Anna and the douchebag Duke. That one. So then we were all just like singing along, and it was like, oh, and then somebody out of nowhere screams, "We don't have the rights to the song," and then
you're like, spoil sports.
What I absolutely loved was that they didn't have the rights to that, so they all went no. But somebody clearly knows Rupert Holmes, so when they started singing "Escape," the Pina Colada song, with slightly different lyrics. So no Frozen, yes to Pina Coladas.
Which leads to that amazing, like the best ending of any
episode
ever is, there's Hayden singing "I'm a star Bakeoff." Cut to you. So did that actually happen? You were there doing your vox pop or your piece to camera and he's singing in the background?
Yeah, it was. I actually forgot about that until I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my god, wow, that's actually kind of funny." Well, like, because he was doing his voxy at the front of the shed, I was like over in like a little garden, and then all I hear is just "bah!" and I was like, "Oh!"
And it was such a real moment that you actually heard your producer off camera laughing. That's how real it was. And it was perfect because, like, you could see you were sort of just getting over the being upset that you were leaving, and you're there and you're looking very solemn, followed by this head tilt and glance and this look at your producer like, what's that? You ran the full in your last episode. You certainly can't say that you didn't like run the full gamut of emotions.
I was going through every single stage of grief that day.
You covered everything quite beautifully. Overall, though, I mean, as I said, it's when you're sort of looking back on the whole thing, best thing you could have done, especially end of a pandemic.
100%.
100%.
100%.
I think it goes curing COVID, being in Bakeoff. Like, there's only one step above that.
Curing COVID, that's it.
Yeah, curing COVID, that's it. Nothing else.
I think maybe Bakeoff first, and then we can.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, I think Bakeoff probably first because it is such a one-off event. Whereas there's lots of companies fighting to cure COVID. So
that's true.
But there's only one shed.
It's what's the word? It's mutating. It changes every other week. It's like,
exactly. There's another variant. Look, and as a history teacher, I just like to say that I'm very pleased that at least people are learning the Greek alphabet. Thank you. Great. Look, there's got to be a positive coming out of COVID somewhere apart from Bakeoff, and for me, it's the Greek alphabet that is being learned.
I didn't even know it was the Greek alphabet.
There you go. You learn something new every day, folks. There you go. So can't wait till we get to the next one. I'm hoping for Gamma, because then it just sounds super cool.
It sounds like you could potentially become a superhero.
Exactly.
You get hit by gamma rays, apparently you become like the Incredible Hulk. So
exactly. It stopped people from fearing so much. They get hit with the gamma COVID and I'm super. Actually, no, we don't want that because then they'll pass it around. No, we don't want that. No, strike that. Forget it.
No gamma.
No gamma. No gamma. But what we do want to see is any more of your bakes. Is there anywhere that people can, anything you want to plug, anything you want to promote, just talk about your general awesomeness?
I'm awesome. Lol. No.
There you go.
But I have a baking page and it's called Bee's Treats. So yeah, if you guys want to see the weirdness that I get up to sometimes, there's that. And also TikTok.
I'm into the tick and the talk.
You're into the tick and the talk?
I watch it occasionally. It's rabbit holes to fall down to.
You do actually watch
too much TikTok, really. Not as much as you with your history baking. He goes, oh, you got to watch this one. It's a baker that does, or the cook that does historical bakes. But you're doing.
Oh my god! Wait, yeah, I watched those too, but like the YouTube videos.
Yeah. Oh,
you love that.
Oh, that's my one.
That's your jam.
He's amazing. Did you see it when he made garum from scratch?
I think we might be talking about two different people.
Okay, that's cool. We'll swap because they obviously need to be. We need to expand our video.
My favorite one on TikTok is B. Dylan Hollis. the one who makes all the, you might have seen him with the glasses, a coffee cream pie from 1932. He's my favorite. I absolutely adore
that
him.
guy. Yes. Oh my God, I love him.
Thank you.
Oh, he's
that is the
amazing.
whole reason I have a TikTok, is just to watch him bake things and yell about the amount of mayonnaise in bakes in the 1930s.
And the sugar, and then eating it.
And also
and
whenever
the way he says sugar as well. He's like, sugar.
Yes. Too eggy. I did have like a couple of weeks where I walked around the kitchen going, too eggy.
And that was just me making cereal.
Exactly. And then also the overboard amount of Jello in things that he makes.
Just every other thing.
Every
it's
second
like Jello.
He's like, I don't know why this is a crime against humanity. He starts mixing. And for some weird reason, Anzac biscuits ended up in like the weird things he was baking.
How are Anzac biscuits weird?
Well, they weren't, and that was the point. But he's like, these are actually quite good. But the rest of it, he's like making it. It's like, there's Jello, there's Spam, there's a bit of flour. I don't know what this is. It starts mixing it up. Too eggy. And then a bunch of lard normally to finish it off, because there's always lard. But yeah, anyone who, like, while we're plugging things, apparently we're plugging B. Dylan Hollis's TikTok, but it's worth it, people. Go see that.
But then go check
Go
out
do it.
Bees Bakes.
Bees Treats.
Bees Treats. Sorry, I'm sure Bees Bakes is out there, but Bees Treats.
Treats.
Bees,
You're getting
treats.
there.
Oh, God. Don't let me do your ads, Dal. Like, I'll remove myself from that. Can't string a sentence together at the moment. That's fantastic. And have you got any bakes planned for the weekend? Is it?
Honestly, I think I'm baked out for the weekend. I made focaccia. The other day, and today I made donuts. So the kitchen will see me next week.
Nice. You'd be like, the oven's going, got the weekend off. Okay. Go out and get some shopping done. Catch up with its family, its long lost little child, the microwave. Oh, Father, I've missed you ever so.
It's looking forward to the time off.
Yes.
So thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight to get to talk to you.
Thank you so much. I've had a pleasure talking to you guys. We should do this every week.
I agree 100%, and I'm always in for more of this. So thank you very much, Blessing, for coming on. We will be back later on. Until next time, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we'll catch you all later.